Arif, mohon izin mulakan.
Ya, sila teruskan Puan Hafizah.
Pendengaran petisyen penerimaan masuk sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya pada hari ini akan diadakan secara atas talian menerusi sidang video menggunakan aplikasi Zoom atas persetujuan pihak-pihak. Pendengaran hari ini adalah di hadapan Yang Arif Pesuruhjaya Kehakiman Tuan Su Tiang Ju. Pempetisyen pertama WA 18-2157-12-2019 Gobindip Singh, anak lelaki Gurbachan Singh.
May it please your lordship. The petitioner, Govinder Singh, son of Gurbachan Singh, obtained his LLB with honours from the University of the West of England, Bristol. Thereafter, the petitioner did his bar at law at the same university and obtained his certificate of standing from the Honourable Society of Lincoln's Inn on the 12th day of June 2018 and was called to the Bar of England and Wales.
Counsel, I think it is normal practice. They introduce your learned friend who represent the various parties for purposes of this ceremony.
I apologize, Yang Arif. Yang Arif, my name is Morgan, and the Perak Bar and the Malaysian Bar is represented by my learned friend, Mr. Amrit Singh, and the Aegis Chambers is represented by Senior Federal Counsel, Puan Quarantine Aini. May I continue, Yang Arif?
Very well, proceed.
I'll continue my Yang Arif. The petitioner commends his pupillage at the firm of Messrs. Bachan and Karta in Ipoh on the 17th of December 2019 and completed his pupillage on the 17th of September 2020. All the necessary inner papers have been filed in accordance with the requirements of the Legal Profession Act. With your Lordship's kind indulgence and leave, I wish to say a few words about your petitioner.
Please proceed.
The petitioner was born to Gurbachan Singh, son of Bhagawan Singh, and Sukhdev Kaur, daughter of Hazara Singh, on 1st of April 1996. He was the youngest child in a family consisting of 2 brothers and sisters. He was the baby of the family. His 2 elder brothers are also barristers in law, having graduated from the Honourable Society of Lincoln's Inn and sharing the same alma mater as the petitioner. Both of them are practicing law. While growing up, he has had good exposure and training in law, even at home. While growing up, he has had good exposure and training in law. He went for his primary education at ACS Ipoh for 2 years. Thereafter, transferring to Sri Dasmesh until he moved back to Ipoh to complete his secondary education at Ipoh International School. He went to Help University College for his A-levels before embarking on his law degree. While chambering, he had a tough taskmaster, that is his father, and he was exposed to varied experiences both in civil and criminal litigation. Upon being admitted to the Malaysian Bar, the petitioner wishes to practice as an advocate and solicitor with Bachan and Karta. He wishes to express his utmost gratitude and appreciation to his parents and his siblings for all the love and guidance that they have provided to him. Above all, he wishes to express his blessings accorded to him by the Almighty, without whose gifts he would not have succeeded in anything. My Lord, I have been instructed that all the necessary inner papers that have been filed are in order, and my learned friends, the Senior Federal Counsel representing the Attorney General's chambers, and my learned friend, Mr. Amrit Sandhu, representing the Perak Bar Committee, and mentioning on behalf of the Malaysian Bar, all of whom have been graciously indicated that they have no objection to the petition. My Lord, I hereby move that your Lordship may be pleased to accept the petitioner's petition and be pleased to call the petitioner to the Malaysian Bar and admit him as an advocate and solicitor of the High Court of Malaya. I am very much obliged by your Lordship's kind indulgence.
Saya bagi pihak GC Arif, tiada bantahan Arif.
Yang Arif, the Perak Bar Committee and the Malaysian Bar have got no objections to this petition. Yang Arif.
Very well. Gobindip Singh, anak lelaki Gurbachan Singh, kamu adalah diterima, masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai seorang peguam bela dan peguam cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya. Puan Hafizah.
Ya Arif, mohon izin untuk teruskan dengan petition kedua.
Baik, teruskan.
Petition kedua WA 18-1307-09-2020 Kartini anak perempuan Mageswaran.
Terima kasih Arif. Arbabu Rash bagi pihak Pempetisyen, rakan-rakan terpelajar, Puan Kurati Aini Khalifah hadir bagi pihak yang berbahagia Peguam Negara Malaysia, dan Encik Amrit Singh Sandhu hadir bagi Majlis Peguam Malaysia dan juga Jawatan Kuasa Peguam Negeri Perak. Arif, seperti kelazimannya sebelum mengusulkan permohonan Pempetisyen, kebiasaannya kita akan memperkenalkan Pempetisyen kepada mahkamah, dan izinkan saya untuk meneruskan dalam bahasa Inggeris, Arif, sekiranya dibenarkan.
Sila teruskan.
My Lord, allow me to introduce your petitioner, Kartini anak perempuan Mageswaran. Your petitioner is the youngest child of two, born on the 11th of August 1996 to the late Mr. Mageswaran and late Mrs. Saraswati. Being the youngest child in the family, the petitioner was very attached to home and chose to go to school for an extra 2 years and pursued STPM in St. Michael's Institution, Ipoh. It is in this time that the petitioner discovered her love for reading and writing. After she completed her pre-university at St. Michael's, the petitioner continued to pursue her interest by choosing law at University Kebangsaan Malaysia, UKM. The petitioner's father had always thought that the petitioner should become a lawyer, seeing how argumentative she was at home. However, law school had nothing to do with being argumentative. The petitioner struggled very hard to go through law school and even considered putting a full stop to it multiple times in the course of a degree. During the petitioner's second year of a degree, the petitioner lost her father. To make her father proud and to have his dreams come true, the petitioner pushed through, and in 2020, she graduated with honors. Thereafter, she underwent her pupillage at Messrs. Chan and Associates under the tutelage of my learned friend, Mr. James Hudson Hong, who also appeared on the Zoom, Arif. As a pupil, Mr. James, the petitioner always remembers one phrase that always been repeated by her master, that family always comes first. The petitioner stepped into the legal world when her mother started deteriorating from a terminal blood disorder and wants to take this opportunity to thank her master for being ever so supportive towards her situation and always offering alternatives and ways to ensure she could always be around for her mother. The petitioner is also extremely grateful for how everyone at Messrs. Chan Associates came together when the petitioner's mother was critical, and at the end of her life, by taking over all her files and pending work, so she could leave work without a worry. For this, the petitioner extends her heartiest thanks to Mr. James Ong, Mr. Chan Kok Kyong, Mr. Robin Lim Fang Se, Ms. Fadlin Fazli, and Ms. Yap Wui Kwan, to Ms. Lalita Ganapati and Ms. Geeta Nagaraja. The petitioner extends the warmest thanks for not only teaching her the technicalities in the legal world, but for becoming like a family at the end of it all. For the knowledge on banking law and tirelessly teaching, your petitioner thanks Madam Siti Hawa Hassan. The petitioner believes her very firmly, that if it was not for the exposure and learning curve provided by Mr. Chan and Associates, the petitioner would have never been able to do what she can today. The petitioner also takes this opportunity to thank her best friends, Priscilla Ann, Vidya Sundar, and table mate at work, Divya Anbanathan, for being her backbones throughout the pupillage period. The journey was not an easy one, but it was never a dull day without them. The petitioner has an extremely rocky road throughout her pupillage days. Every new day was a day fearing her mother would succumb to her illness and pass. Having days as rough as that, it was difficult to even wake up, what more completing her pupillage. The petitioner is always so grateful to her sister, Tanusha Mageswaran, who has been the wall she leans on and a solid rock that helps her go through each day. The petitioner seizes this occasion to thank her sister for holding her hand and walking through fire like the big sister she always was. She is the only light the petitioner has seen in a long time, and the only reason the petitioner made it through 9 months of chambering. The petitioner always thought her parents would be seated in the court today, my lord, watching her get called with a wider smile on their faces, and still believes her late parents are here with her on this joyous day. To them, she would like to say, thank you for raising me up, and I hope I made you too proud. Therefore, I humbly submit that the petitioner is a fit and proper person to be admitted and enrolled as advocate and solicitor of this honorable court. I believe that the course papers are in order, and my learned friends from the Attorney General Chambers, Malaysian Bar and Perak Bar Committee respectively do not have any objection to this application, my lord.
Pihak peguam negara tiada bantahan, ya, Arif?
Yang Arif, the Perak Bar Committee and the Malaysian Bar have got no objections to this petition.
Therefore, Arif, I humbly pray that your petitioner, Kartini Anak Perempuan Mageswaran, to be admitted and enrolled as an advocate and solicitor, High Court of Malaya, my lord.
Kartini Anak Perempuan Mageswaran, kamu adalah diterima masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara, Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Much obliged, Arif. If I may pray for the petitioner to robe herself, my lord.
Please proceed.
Terima kasih, Yang Arif.
My lord, I'm actually in Putrajaya, my lord, and having other cases. If I may be excused from the further proceedings, my lord.
Very well.
Much obliged, my lord.
Petisyen ketiga, WA 18-1264-09-2020, Faustina Anak Perempuan Francis.
Dengan izin Yang Arif, Faustina Francis, pemetisyen ketiga.
Dengan izin Arif. Dengan izin Arif.
Yes.
Saya T. Ilanggowan hadir bagi pihak pemetisyen Faustina Anak Perempuan Francis pada hari ini. Rakan-rakan bijaksana saya yang masing-masing mewakili yang berbahagia Peguam Negara Malaysia, Puan Kortina Aini, dan dari Majlis Peguam Malaysia dan Jawatan Kuasa Peguam Perak, Encik Amrit Singh Sidhu hadir bersama dan berada dalam Zoom hari ini. Yang Arif, saya ingin memohon kebenaran Yang Arif untuk meneruskan hujahan ini dalam bahasa Inggeris. Arif.
Baik, sila teruskan.
May it please your lordship. May I introduce the petitioner, Faustina Anak Perempuan Francis, My Lord, the petitioner was born on 4th November 1997 in Tapa, Perak, but she would rather call Teluk Intan her hometown where she grew up. She is the youngest child of her proud parents, Mr. Francis and Mrs. Regina. My Lord, the petitioner had her early education, both primary and secondary, in SK Convent, Teluk Intan. My Lord, the petitioner read law in Multimedia University, Melaka campus, and the petitioner was conferred a Bachelor of Law with honors in June 2020. Petitioner had then completed her pupillage in the chambers of Baldeep Dil and Partners under the tutelage of my learned friend, Mr. Baldeep Singh. I believe he's also on the line today. Mr. Baldeep? On this momentous occasion, petitioner would like to express her sincere gratitude to, first and foremost, the Almighty God for giving her this wonderful life full of love and blessing, where she has never failed to be showered upon her and her family. The petitioner wished to take this opportunity to thank her loving parent, Mr. Francis and Mrs. Regina, without whom the petitioner wouldn't be here today. The petitioner at the age of 10 was inspired by her father, who was working and taking care of the family while pursuing his Bachelor of Jurisprudence studies in University Malaya. My Lord, the father also a practicing lawyer, Lord. The petitioner fell in love with the hard work and dedication that the father showed to provide the best and only best for his family. As the petitioner wrote here, Yarif, as she says that, as the saying goes, behind every great man, there will be a great woman. The petitioner saw her mother for being the greatest strength and the best supporter of both her father and her. The petitioner's family never ceased to believe in her, especially during tough times, as she constantly pushed by her to achieve greater height in her life. My Lord, the petitioner would like to thank her supportive siblings, Jessica Francis and Anthony Titus Francis, for their love and support. And she's not forgetting to thank her late maternal grandmother, whom she will always remember for her love and her advice on the importance of education and being a good person. The petitioner also wished to thank Anthony Sami's family and Sinapan's family. And she also like to thank all her good friends from school to university, particularly Miss Mimit Kaur and Miss Alia Fatin. Petitioner also like to thank her housemates and roommates in the universities. My Lord, the petitioner finds priceless that the lesson which can be taught. Her master, Mr. Baldeep Singh, as she called him, man of few words. She says that he describes her as action speaks louder than word. The petitioner would like to convey her gratitude, her people master, for her all the opportunities given. The petitioner would like to thank Miss Delwinder, Mr. Amirul from Baldeep Singh Dil's firm. And she also record her thank to all the people involved in this journey. My Lord, the petitioner also like to thank the judges and registrar whom she had been given the privilege to appear before, the court staff and the supportive staff of Messrs. Baldip Dil and Partners. She also like to thank all her teachers and university lecturers. Yarif, she also expressed her thanks or gratitude to me as a mover. Last but not least, she want to say this loud. She wants to say that to her parents that, Mom, Dad, your daughter is a lawyer now.
Not as
with
yet.
that, Mr. Malot,
Not quite.
with that, my lord, I believe the petitioner is fit and a proper person to be admitted and enrolled as an advocate and solicitor of High Court of Malaya. I believe all the petitioner's papers are in order, and that my learned friends from Attorney General Chambers and Bar Council and Perak Bar Committee, respectively, have no objection to this petition today.
Bagi pihak Peguam Negara yang ada, tiada bantahan kami.
Yang Arif, the Perak Bar Committee and the Malaysian Bar have got no objections to this petition.
Yeah, my lord, I humbly move this honorable court to admit and enroll the petitioner Faustina Anak Perempuan Francis as an advocate and solicitor of this High Court of Malaya.
Faustina Anak Perempuan Francis, kamu adalah diterima masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai seorang peguam bela dan peguam cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya. Sekarang kamu boleh beritahu kepada ibu bapa kamu adalah seorang peguam bela dan peguam cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Yeah, now sir, this is the moment. Please, you can say it loud. Say it loud.
Mom and Dad, your daughter is a lawyer now.
Congratulations. Much obliged, my lord. My lord, I pray that, humbly pray that the petitioner to robe herself.
Very well.
As the guidelines given.
Proceed.
In fact, Yarif, the father wishes to robe her daughter. We are obliged. We are restricted to do that, I believe.
Yes.
Terima kasih Yang Arif.
Baik.
Mohon izin ya Arif.
Much obliged.
Petisyen keempat WA 18-1532-10-2020 Maha Lachumi anak perempuan Tamil Selvam.
Dengan izin ya Arif, saya langsungkan hadir bagi pihak Pempetisyen. Bersama-sama pada pagi ini adalah rakan bijaksana saya Puan Kuratu Aini binti Khalifah bagi pihak yang berbahagia Peguam Negara dan Encik Amrik Singh bagi Majlis Peguam Negara Malaysia dan juga Jabatan Kuasa Majlis Peguam Negeri Perak. Ya Arif, saya dengan rendah diri memohon keizinan mahkamah yang mulia ini untuk memperkenalkan Pempetisyen dalam bahasa Inggeris.
Ya, teruskan.
Much obliged, Arif. Arif, the petitioner Mahalakshmi, anak perempuan Tamil Selvam, was born in Ipoh, Perak on the 11th of June, 1997, and is the third child of Mr. Tamil Selvam and Madam Mosanti. The petitioner received a primary education in SK Tambun and a secondary education at Methodist Girls' Schools, Ipoh. The petitioner then continued her studies at Perlis Matriculation College and graduated from University Utara Malaysia with a second-class upper honours in 2020. Thereafter, the petitioner commenced a pupillage in Kenneth William and Associates under the pupillage of my learned friend, Mr. Kenneth George William, who is with us today as well. The petitioner is very grateful and honoured to be given the opportunity to undergo pupillage in Mrs. Kenneth William and Associates under the supervision of Mr. Kenneth George William. Therefore, the petitioner respectfully wishes to thank Mr. Kenneth for the opportunity, trust, and knowledge given during the pupillage. Though it had been a challenging journey during her time as a pupil, the petitioner is thankful to her pupil master, Mr. Kenneth, for taking her under his wings, and providing guidance and opportunity to equip her with not just the knowledge and skills, but also the character to preserve through her legal career. Yarif, on this honorable day, the humble petitioner would like to further express her utmost gratitude and appreciation, especially to her parents. She would like to thank them for always putting her first before them and for all the valuable life lessons that they've instilled in her. The petitioner is grateful towards their countless sacrifice, unconditional love, and unwavering support throughout her journey to the bar. Without her parents, this day would not have been made possible. The petitioner said that all glory belongs to them for their unconditional love and sacrifice. She is also forever indebted to her parents for being her pillar of support emotionally and financially, and in believing that the petitioner, even in the times the petitioner had failed to do so herself. The petitioner says that her success does not belong to her, but ultimately to her parents, who have instilled the most important values provided the tools to guide her through the life. The love and sacrifice for the petitioner is what keeps the petitioner going and motivated every day. She hopes that she has made her parents proud and will strive to continue to make them proud. The petitioner would like to thank her siblings as well, Pavitra, Gogilan, and Anusha, for always being there for her and giving her moral support. The petitioner would like to thank all her colleagues for their mentorship and legal knowledge and skills that they imparted on her, which she wishes to fully utilize in her practice. She is also grateful to the teams for always making her welcome and appreciated from the start. The petitioner would like to thank her pupil mates, friends from university, and in particular Kiroshini, Aisha Muna, Akila Zaibi, Ng Mian, Shafinas, and Teligeswari for being there throughout her journey and who gave her many words of encouragement, support, help, and prayers to the petitioner throughout her pupillage. The petitioner would also like to thank the UUM lecturers for all the knowledge and guidance given. Lastly, the petitioner would like to express her appreciation to the people that she has crossed paths with throughout her journey, and especially to those who had always been there for her in the times of need and celebrated with her in times of joy. Before I end this submission, I'd like to proffer two quotes as a little bit of advice to the petitioner, which I hope will resonate with her. The first is from Robert F. Kennedy, who is the former Attorney General of the US and a former US Senator. He said, "Lawyers have their duties as citizens, but they also have their special duties as lawyers. Their obligations go far deeper than earning a living as specialists in corporation or tax law. They have a continuing responsibility to uphold the fundamental principles of justice from which the law cannot depart." And the second, Yarif, is from Lord Denning in his collection of addresses known as Road to Justice. He said, "What is justice? That question has been asked by many men far wiser than you or me, and no one has yet found a satisfactory answer. All I would suggest is that justice is not something you can see. It is not temporal, but eternal. How does man know what is justice? It is not the product of his intellect, but of his spirit. The nearest we can get to defining justice is to say that it is what the right-minded members of the community, those who have the right spirit within them, believe to be fair." So you see how great is the responsibility which rests upon the lawyers. They represent the right-minded members of the community in seeking to do what is fair between the man and the man between the state. And they can only do this by means of just laws justly administered. Yarif, I believe the petitioner's papers are in order, and my learned friend from the AG's chambers and from the Malaysian Bar and the Perak Bar Committee have no objections to the same.
Bagi Pihak Peguam Negara tiada bantahan, Arif.
Yang Arif, the Perak Bar Committee and the Malaysian Bar have got no objections to this petition.
Yarif, I humbly pray for the petitioner to be admitted and enrolled as an advocate and solicitor in the High Court of Malaya.
Mahalacumi, anak perempuan Tamil Selvam, kamu adalah diterima masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai seorang peguam bela dan peguam cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Much obliged, Yarif. Yarif, may I pray for the petitioner to be allowed to vote herself?
Proceed.
Much obliged, Yarif. Much obliged, Yarif.
Ya, Puan Hafizah.
Petisyen terakhir WA 18-1729-11-2020 Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan.
Dengan izin Ya Arif, saya Daniel Rahman bin Ya Razali bagi pihak Pempetisyen Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan, manakala Encik Amrik Sandu mewakili Jawatan Kuasa Peguam Perak juga Malaysian Bar, dan Puan Qurrat Aini Khalifah bagi yang berbahagia pendengar. Dengan izin Ya Arif, pada hari ini, sebelum saya mengusulkan permohonan Pempetisyen untuk diterima masuk sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara, izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan diri Pempetisyen terlebih dahulu bagi menunjukkan kelaikan beliau di bawah Seksyen 10 dan 11 Akta Profesional 1976. Dengan izin Ya Arif.
Teruskan.
Ya. Pempetisyen telah dilahirkan di Manjung, Perak pada 18 Jun 1997 dan merupakan cahaya mata buat pasangan Encik Syahidan bin Harun dan Puan Nur Hayati binti Nordin, dan merupakan anak kedua daripada 3 adik-beradik. Pempetisyen telah mendapatkan pendidikan awal di sekolah konvent Setiawan dan meneruskan pendidikan menengahnya di sekolah menengah kebangsaan konvent Setiawan, Sekolah Menengah Sains Raja Tun Azlan Shah Taiping. Pempetisyen kemudiannya melanjutkan pelajaran dalam Asasi Undang-Undang di Pusat Asasi Undang-Undang UiTM di Merbuk, Kedah, dan menyambung pengajian ke Pusat Asasi Undang-Undang di Dengkis, Selangor. Itu telah diterima masuk untuk melanjutkan ijazah sarjana muda undang-undang di Universiti Teknologi Mara, Shah Alam pada tahun 2017 dan menamatkan ijazah undang-undang pada tahun 2020. Pempetisyen telah dianugerahkan dengan ijazah sarjana muda undang-undang dengan kepujian. Selepas tamat ijazah beliau, Pempetisyen telah memulakan latihan dalam kamar di Tuan di Chambers of Anwar di Ipoh di bawah bimbingan Encik Kirun Anwar bin Mali bermula pada November 2020 dan kini telah tamat tempoh tersebut. Waktu di bawah bimbingan Encik Kirun, Pempetisyen telah dicurahkan ilmu khususnya dalam bidang civil litigation conveyancing. Pempetisyen ingin menzahirkan rasa kesyukuran serta terima kasih kepada semua yang terlibat dalam mendidik Pempetisyen sehingga ke tahap ini. Pempetisyen juga ingin mengucapkan jutaan terima kasih kepada kedua ibu bapa petisyen, iaitu Syahidan bin Harun, Puan Nur Hayati binti Nordin, kerana selama ini tidak pernah mengenal erti penat lelah dan memberikan hanya yang terbaik kepada Pempetisyen. Terima kasih Pempetisyen ucapkan kerana memberikan kepercayaan kepada Pempetisyen untuk meneruskan cita-cita Pempetisyen. Segala pergolakan kedua ibu bapa Pempetisyen tidak dapat digambarkan dengan kata-kata, ya Arif. Pempetisyen juga ingin berterima kasih kepada kakak Pempetisyen dan juga abang Pempetisyen kerana sentiasa memberi dorongan dan semangat buat Pempetisyen. Tidak lupa juga buat adik Pempetisyen Muhammad Nakib banyak membantu secara tidak langsung. Seterusnya, Arif, Pempetisyen ingin menghadiahkan penghargaan kepada Encik Anwar bin Mali yang merupakan Master Pempetisyen kerana tidak pernah penat mendidik dan mencurahkan segala ilmu beliau kepada Pempetisyen. Juga jutaan terima kasih kepada Encik Gabriel Joshua anak lelaki Moses kerana sentiasa memberi semangat, dorongan serta memberi kepercayaan kepada Pempetisyen selama Pempetisyen bekerja di firma tersebut. Sesungguhnya Pempetisyen amat bersyukur kerana berpeluang menjadi anak didik kepada Encik Anwar dan Encik Gabriel. Seterusnya, ya Arif, menzahirkan rasa syukur kerana dikelilingi oleh sahabat-sahabat yang tidak pernah membelakangi Pempetisyen dan sentiasa menghulurkan tangan ketika susah dan senang. Pempetisyen sekali ingin berterima kasih kepada Cik Syafiqah Rus, Puan Zahara kerana telah banyak membantu Pempetisyen sepanjang Pempetisyen menjalani latihan dalam kamar di Ipoh. Jasa mereka tidak akan dilupakan oleh Pempetisyen. Tidak dilupakan sahabat-sahabat karib Pempetisyen iaitu Afiq Ikmal, Sumayah, Nik Adillah, Fatin Munirah, Faizin Masura, Hafizah Ikhfaz Razana, Fatin Nabiha, Amnas dan serta warga rumah Shah Alam. warga kampung Grocer, warga Laudia serta rakan-rakan yang lain yang sering menaikkan semangat Pempetisyen dan sentiasa menjadi telinga bagi Pempetisyen mengeluh sewaktu zaman belajar terdahulu. Sesungguhnya tanpa bantuan mereka, Pempetisyen tidak mungkin akan sampai ke tahap ini. Dengan izin ya Arif, saya percaya bahawa semua surat cara Pempetisyen adalah dalam keadaan teratur dan sempurna. Dan saya juga percaya bahawa Pempetisyen adalah seorang yang berkelayakan menurut Akta Profesyen Undang-Undang 1976. Oleh itu ya Arif, saya juga percaya bahawa rakan-rakan bijaksana saya tidak mempunyai bantahan terhadap petisyen ini, dan saya memohon agar Pempetisyen diterima masuk dan didaftarai sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Bagi pihak Peguam Negara, kami tiada bantahannya, Arif.
Dengan izin ya Arif, the Perak Bar Committee and the Malaysian Bar have got no objections to this petition.
Ya, Encik Daniel, apa yang dipohon?
Ya, dengan izin ya Arif, oleh itu saya pohon satu perintah agar Pempetisyen Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan dapat diterima masuk dan didaftarai sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Baik. Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan, kamu adalah diterima masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai seorang Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya.
Dengan izin Arif, dengan itu pohon kebenaran untuk Pempetisyen memakaikan jurus sendiri.
Baik, teruskan.
Terima kasih ya Arif.
Baik.
Terima kasih ya Arif.
I will say a few words. It gives me great pleasure to welcome into the honourable legal profession the newly admitted advocates and solicitors of the High Court in Malaya, namely Gobindip Singh, anak lelaki Gurbachan Singh, Kartini, anak perempuan Mageswaran, Faustina, anak perempuan Francis, Mahalachumi, anak perempuan Thamizselvam, and Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan. Kepada ibu bapa Gobindip Singh, anak lelaki Gurbachan Singh, iaitu Encik Gurbachan Singh, anak lelaki Bhagawan Singh, dan Puan Sokdev Kaur, anak perempuan Hazara Singh. To the late parents of Kartini, anak perempuan Mageswaran, the late Mageswaran, anak lelaki Parasuraman, and the late Saraswati, anak perempuan Sanyasi, who we hope are with us in spirit. Kepada ibu bapa Faustina, anak perempuan Francis, Encik Francis, anak lelaki Sinapan, dan Puan Regina, anak perempuan Anthony Sami. Your daughter is now an advocate and solicitor of the High Court in Malaya. Kepada ibu bapa Mahalachumi, anak perempuan Thamizselvam, Encik Thamizselvam, anak lelaki Yayat Sami, dan Puan Vasanti, anak perempuan Tangkaya. Dan kepada ibu bapa Nurul Syuhada binti Syahidan, Encik Syahidan bin Harun, dan Puan Nur Hayati binti Nordin. Saya ucapkan setinggi-tinggi tahniah atas kejayaan anak-anak kamu masing-masing. Kejayaan ini adalah hasil didikan yang terperinci serta perkemanan yang cuma boleh diberi oleh ibu bapa oleh kerana kasih sayang yang kamu ada bagi anak-anak kamu. Saya juga ingin mengambil kesempatan untuk mengucapkan terima kasih dan tahniah kepada kesemua master-master yang telah mendidik dan mencurahkan pengajian dan ilmu kepada kesemua Pempetisyen sehingga mereka semua dapat diterima masuk dan didaftaraikan sebagai Peguam Bela dan Peguam Cara Mahkamah Tinggi Malaya pada hari ini. Now to the 5 freshly minted advocates and solicitors who have just been admitted to the honourable legal profession, I would like to take this opportunity to share with you the concept of honour. Now, Rules 9, Paragraph A and 16 of the legal profession, Practice and Etiquette Rule 1978, taken together provide that 1. An advocate and solicitor who undertakes the defence in any criminal matter shall by all fair and honourable means present every defense that the law permits. 2. An advocate and solicitor shall, while acting with all due courtesy to the tribunal before which he is appearing, fearlessly uphold the interests of his client, the interest of justice and dignity of the profession, without regard to any unpleasant consequences, either to himself or to any other person. Now, I often wonder whether these rules were inspired by the famous phrase attributed to Evelyn Beatrice Hall, the biographer who said, "I disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it." From a court's perspective, from the point of honor, of utmost importance is that an advocate and solicitor shall not practice any, and I repeat, any deception on the court. This is one of the most basic and fundamental duty grounded on the concept of honor that you as a member of the honorable legal profession owe to the court. With all of you having been certified to have successfully completed the Ethics and Professional Standards course, you will well know this fundamental duty is expressly set out in Rule 17 of the Legal Profession, Practice and Etiquette Rules of 1978. This should be your goal in the legal profession as you play your part in the pursuit of justice, fairness, and equality in upholding the rule of law, so that, and I quote, "people have confidence in the law," unquote. To quote Baroness Lady Hale, the First Lady Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of UK, in her recent speech delivered at a webinar held on 17 November 2021, where I had the privilege and honor of playing a role. You all can see the speeches delivered via YouTube under the caption "Diversity and Inclusion," and the link can be obtained from the learned Senior Assistant Registrar who is with us today, Tuan Nur Hafizah binti Ishaq. Besides being an honorable lawyer at all times, there are 5 basic characteristics you have to nurture. 1, be tenacious in all your matters, i.e., persevere and do not give up in the face of adversity. 2, be kind and hearken to the fundamental liberty of equality housed within Article 8 of the Federal Constitution, not to discriminate against anyone on the ground only of religion, race, descent, place of birth, or gender as to who is to be the recipient of your kindness. By being kind, you will naturally become humble, yet courageous, because by being kind, you will wish to look after the interests of other people, and this promotes courage, which is a necessary ingredient in your legal practice. Be a person of integrity, which is an attitude you have to maintain at all times so that you can be trusted. Be thrifty and live within your means, so financial problems will not disturb your peace of mind. And finally, be humble, so that you will integrate well and peacefully in all segments of society. As the 5 of you celebrate the successful milestone you have achieved and are about to embark in your professional career, be advised to look after your health. Only by being healthy will you be able to look after the interests of other people who rely upon you. Sila ambil perhatian bahawa sebagai Peguam Bela, kamu adalah pahlawan yang akan kerap kali dilantik untuk berlawan untuk menjaga kepentingan anak guaman kamu. Hubungan di antara seorang peguam cara dan anak guam adalah suatu hubungan fiduciary di mana kamu ada niat tanggungjawab amanah yang berat. Jangan sesekali pun melanggar tanggungjawab ini. Kebiasaannya, anak guaman kamu akan bergantung sepenuhnya ke atas kamu untuk menuntut hak ataupun menjaga kepentingan mereka. Maka kelima-lima kamu mesti sentiasa bekerja kuat untuk memperolehi ilmu dan pengalaman yang bertaraf tinggi supaya kepentingan anak guam kamu boleh dijaga dengan baik. Walaupun pada masa akan datang kamu ada niat tanggungjawab tinggi kepada anak-anak guam kamu, senantiasa ambil perhatian bahawa semasa mengendalikan kes-kes di mahkamah, tanggungjawab utama kamu adalah kepada mahkamah. Bagi maksud ini, saya ingin membaca satu petikan daripada ucapan yang amat arif Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, Tengku Maimun Tuan Mat, Ketua Hakim Negara dalam kes Mahkamah Persekutuan, yang dilaporkan sebagai Nivesh Nai Mohan lawan Dato' Abdul Razak Musa, Pengurusi Lembaga Pencegahan Jenayah 2021 8 CLJ muka surat 163. I quote, "We pause for a moment here to note that our case law is replete with reminders to advocates, whether from the bar or public service, of the onerous duties of those in the legal profession. The highest duty of counsel, a duty which supersedes his or her duty to his client, is his duty to the court, which remains paramount in the administration of justice. Counsel are expected to make out their client's case to the best of their abilities, but they cannot adopt the mindset that they must win at all costs if that results in misleading the court." Unquote. As you embark on your legal career, do hold steadfast to the concept of not practicing any deception on the court. It is easy, so very easy, to indulge in a little bit of white lies and half-truths when you think your client's cause will be served with a timely postponement. Among the tricks practiced are feigning an illness or alluding to having to attend to a cannot-be-missed doctor's appointment, which somehow seem to coincide with an occasion when the client desperately wants a postponement. But lo and behold, with a postponement, an application is drawn up and filed at short notice together with a certificate of urgency clamoring to be heard urgently ahead of everything else. Bear in mind the case of Dr. Lila Ratos and others against Anthony Ratos, Domingos Ratos and others, reported and published in 1997, 1 CLJ, supplementary reports at page 115, when advocate and solicitor was sentenced to a fine of 5,000 ringgit. In default, 1 week's imprisonment for misleading the court in granting an adjournment. As with all dishonorable practices, once you succeed and get away with one sleight of hand, sharp practice, followed by another and then another, before you know it, these practices will harden and crystallize into a habit and will personify you. Yes, it will personify you, and that will become your reputation at the bar. Wherefore, despite all the temptations, resist with all your heart and mind dishonorable practices and play no deception on the court. Let not your name make its way into the law reports as a dishonorable lawyer where it cannot be erased. Sebagai penutup dan akhir kata, sekali lagi, saya mengucapkan setinggi-tinggi tahniah dan selamat datang ke profesion kepeguaman kepada kelima-lima kamu.
Much obliged, Henry.
Much obliged.
Yes. I will now end the session for today.